Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Big 14, you know what the fuck going on. Hey, hold up, take a moment, count my guap, count my guap. All these racks bumming in, they bumming in. Hold up, hey, count my guap, count my guap. Can I stop coming in, coming in? Put up in a drop top, she dropped it. I put up in a drop top, she dropped it. My diamonds dancing high skies, they hold this. My diamonds dancing high skies, they hold this. Yeah, hold up. I don't know what planet I'm on. I'm a king, little bitch, watch the throne. Feel like bottom, I'll top off your arm. Yeah, steady, cause you heavy. Yeah, bitch, I'm ballin' hard just like a maverick. Money stretch long, little bitch like elastic. Now that bitch steady calling me Mr. Fantastic. Yeah. No, I keep a ratchet. If you claim, boy, I turn your ass to acid. Automatic, doom, little bitch, I'm blasting. Yeah, put you in a casket. Money sits long, it's elastic. I don't know what planet I'm on. I'm a king, little bitch, watch the throne. Feel like Votto, I'll top off your heart. Take a moment, count my guap, count my guap. Yeah. All these racks bumming in, they bumming in. Hold up. Hey, count my guap, count my guap. Can I stop coming in, coming in? Yeah, yeah. Put up in a drop top, she dropped it. I put up in a drop top, she dropped it. Yeah. My diamonds dancing high skies, they hold this. Yeah. My diamonds dancing high skies. Yeah.
Astroworlds, my planet, my home. Clouds too high, the fumes too strong. Mix this cup for way too long. Add it up, don't subtract it. Yeah. Pour this ain't with me and let's get blasted. Straight up, Lambo drop like a dragon. Can't fall asleep at night cause they attacking. In the coupe go insane. This if it go, they be blame. We don't live the same.
But Rodgers is a fucking fossil. This team's in shambles. The Steelers are wagging at home. It's going to be a gross fucking game. And I'm going right back to fading the Jets.
And once again, the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, when the lights are bright, do not show up when they fall. Their receivers are banged up. The ones out there couldn't catch shit. Their defense is taking a step back. This 49ers team is a fucking joke, and I'm looking at you, Kyle Shanahan. You're supposed to be that guy.
In the postseason for the first time in his career, and they find a way to fucking blow it. Look, we should have known the Yankees bullpen was going to come back and bite them in the ass at some point. They've been a little bit too good, but my goodness, did we think it was going to be Big Christmas?
What's going on, chat? How we doing? Happy BTL Monday, episode 599 piece. As always, hold the fry, joined by your two hosts, Krabs and Jovan, presented by SeatGeek. If you're going to any games this weekend, shit, maybe you're going to a college basketball game this week. Maybe you're buying some tickets for the college football playoffs coming up. Buy your tickets on SeatGeek. Use promo code Bookit10. Plug it in your app right now. That way you have that puppy in there permanently and you get 10% off all your ticket purchases on SeatGeek going forward, not just a one-time thing. All right, plug code Bookit10 in there. I told all my buddies, put that shit in there now before you forget. That way, whenever you buy your tickets on SeatGeek, you get 10% off. It's really that simple. All right. Jovan, happy Monday. How we doing?
Doing good.
Good. Love to hear it. Why don't we hop in? We don't have any recap graphics today. Daniel's a little sick. We got a couple Bookit people sick today, but it ain't much. It's honest work. All right. We're here. We're showing up. We got some games today. It's not the greatest slate, Jovan, but we're going to make do. We're going to do our best. We're going to talk Monday Night Football. We'll talk this moose shit college basketball slate today as well. And we might even talk a little bit about the college football playoffs and Juan Soto today too. Okay. Yeah, I have no notes really. We're going to go over the recaps later this week when we get the graphics. For now, maybe we go into the Bookit Fantasy League and take a peep at that. We can get Goots's opinions as well. We got Gootsy back in the saddle today. Running BTL, love to see that as well. Can we get some W's going? W Goots,
W's
with the
chat.
name lid on. Good to see you, Goots. Good to hear your beautiful voice. Good to hear that you're up and moving. Big game tonight. Me versus Goots. Pretty much decides the playoffs in the Bookit League. It comes down to Brandon Aubrey. You can't make this shit up, chat. This is a guy that I've been talking about since the offseason, right? I told all you guys, draft him weirdly early in your fantasy leagues. He's him. He's going to be the best kicker in the NFL. And although statistically, I don't think right now he's still the best kicker in the NFL. I think he's like third. The Steelers guy has been fucking going nuts. Obviously he has not had the greatest second half. He doesn't have Dak Prescott moving the offense down the field anymore. But I mean, my goodness, Brandon Aubrey's been doing his job, knock on wood, so far this season. Let's hope he can kick 2, or at least 1 and some extra points tonight. I need like 5.5 points. So probably 6 points to beat Goots. It comes down to Brandon Aubrey. You can't make this shit up, chat. A guy that I've been gassing up all season, all off season. It comes down to him making probably 2 kicks. We'll see how it goes. Jovan, who do you got in this matchup? You got Team Goots or you got Team Krabs? You're already solidified, I'm pretty sure, in the playoffs with a win this week.
Yeah, unless I think Josh has CeeDee Lamb. Unless he drops like 40-something, I got the win. Shout out to Josh Allen and Garendo for putting up 1 million points late yesterday. But if you don't get this win, Krabs, there's some voodoo magic going on.
Yeah, my team's got the most points for in the league. Hopefully the fantasy gods reward me with a W over Gootsy. It's not going to be easy. Hilarious that it came down to Brandon Aubrey Goots. We'll see how it goes.
I want to let Chad know that me, Mikey, and Krabs are 8-5. So and Mikey has more points than me, and he's going to win this week. So if I win, I don't even get in. So I'm just basically playing spoiler.
You're
Take
playing
out
spoiler.
Krabs and you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're trying to play spoiler. You're trying to knock me out of the playoffs. Look, Goots, I wouldn't expect anything less from you. Your team's not giving up. You're not throwing in the towel yet, although you might be eliminated probably from the playoffs mathematically with Mikey having a big week this week.
You're
still playing hard.
5 starters on bye week this week. That's why I got Westbrook EK in there.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Shout out Brian, though.
Shout out. Yeah. He
Brian.
spawned in after having move shit first half.
Dude, Brian was invisible for the first half, and then they just flip a switch and decide, hey, let's start throwing the ball, and he gets thrown every single pass.
Yeah,
and they actually move the ball. And win the game.
Shout out Gus for getting in the end zone too. That helps. That put me in this position pretty much.
Gosh, man, fucking dusty ass Gus Edwards finding paper, unbelievable. Obviously, Will Dissly's leg exploding early on in that game sucks. Hope he gets healthy. He had a great matchup in that game and probably would have at least, had close to double digits there. Bucky Irving, thanks, Jovan. Appreciate that one. He got hurt and didn't come back in that game. I'm just going to.
You should have asked me, dude. I know you should have asked me. He was hurt.
You would have known he would have gotten hurt. He would have gotten hurt, Jovan.
Bro, I got by.
No, he was hurt.
Man. I didn't have
he was hurt before the game, dude. Trent was talking about this. Trent was talking about this because Trent had his little touchdown lay, which sold with the replacement anyway, but he was putting Green God Bucky touchdown in there. I told him, what are we doing, dude? Bucky's barely going to see the field. He's been walking around like Ma on a walker all week before this.
Brutal. Well, it comes down to Brandon Aubrey. Goots, can you scroll up a hair?
Yeah.
Show the people the scores here. And I want to give credit where credit's due as well. We've got some subbies coming in here. Matt Goff here, resubbing W Krabs Jovan, which underdog is winning outright in the college football playoffs. Happily, we'll talk about that in a second here, Matt. W question. We got Falser coming in, resubbing back from Aruba. Let's get it. W Falser. Hope you had a good vacation. We got Hype Train moving and grooving here, level 4. Love to see it. Ron Mux coming in, resubbing. Shout out Jovan for Jacoby Myers. Dubs. We got B Young coming in. That could be Bryce Young. Cannot confirm or deny. Resubbing. Hell yeah. We got subbies galore coming in today on a Monday. I love to see it. All right, we can move off of this.
You're cooked, Krabs. We'll be seeing
5 matchups. What'd you say, Goots?
He said you're cooked.
All right, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Wouldn't it be something? Brandon Aubrey does not kick a field goal for the first time this season.
That'd be unbelievable. Green God, 1.5 field goals. Krabs.
He kicks 2, right? Yep. Okay. All right, guys. Let's talk about Juan Soto for a sec. All right, well, let's go over a couple housekeeping items here before we get into the winners for today. You guys have looked at the slate. We don't have much to cover, but we'll spend plenty of time on Monday Night Football. All right, we'll spend some time on the college football playoffs after this as well, but let's stick to what's important and what happened last night late. Juan Soto, signed a record-breaking contract with the New York Mets. Yes, this is real. Yes, he turned down offers from the Yankees. Yes, he turned down offers from the Dodgers. And like we talked about last week, Juan Soto, his brain's wired a little bit differently. He's rare, right? He's like a fucking unicorn. They don't build him like Juan Soto much anymore. He doesn't want to ride the coattails of Aaron Judge on the Yankees. He doesn't want to ride the coattails of an organization where, people think you're going to be in the playoffs no matter what because of your payroll. He wants to do it himself. He wants to start from the ground, build up, and he wants to be the guy carrying his future team for the next decade and a half into the playoffs and then hopefully a World Series. I'm in a weird spot in this situation, Jovan, because obviously I'm a Nats fan. Obviously, I root for Juan Soto, and I think he's the best player in baseball. But it's weird seeing him go from the Yankees to the Mets. Like, low-key, I'm kind of happy as a Yankee hater that he's obviously not on the Yankees, and it's hilarious. He's going right down the street to Citi Field, and he's going to be wearing a Mets uniform for the next decade and a half. But I've also got to face him now for the next 15 years myself, with the Nats, who are struggling right now and don't have a guy like Juan Soto yet. Maybe one of these young guys turns out to be pretty good, but nobody's going to be as good as Juan Soto. He's one of the best players, if not the best player in baseball. That's why he just got paid more than Shohei Ohtani. So if you're ever doubting Juan Soto's greatness, I feel like this contract probably puts it back in reality. He's the GOAT. He's the best hitter in baseball that I've ever seen in my lifetime. You can make arguments for guys, a little bit older who were when I was growing up, like Albert Pujols and those dudes. But in my lifetime, Juan Soto is the best hitter. He has the best at-bats out there, and he was just rewarded handsomely for that. I'm kind of happy he's not on the Yankees. I think it's hilarious hearing my Yankee fan friends bitching all day today already saying, oh, we don't even want him anyways. What do you mean you didn't want him? You've been saying you wanted him for the last 2 years. And now he takes a fat contract from the Mets, and now you don't want him? Hilarious to hear the Yankee fans bitching and piss once again. And Jovan, I'll be honest, even though he's in my division, I'm happy that I get to see him when I get to go to the park every once in a while. And I'm happy that he's not on the Yankees. I think I'm happier he's on the Mets, even though I got to face him in the division, than he's wearing pinstripes up there in New York.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Best case scenario. Best case scenario. Even if it's in your division, respectfully, Krabs, I don't think it matters for where the Nationals are going to be in the next couple years at the very least. But, the Dodgers and the Yankees were just worst case scenario for everybody who's not fans of this team or of those teams. So, it's literally ideal, and it was definitely not about the money because you got the same offers from any other team. You just didn't want to go to the Dodgers or Yankees, which is fucking awesome because, again, that would have destroyed the sport, or at least the Dodgers. Going to the Dodgers would have destroyed the sport. Going back to the Yankees would have just been super annoying. But I'll tell you what it means. Shout out the AL and the AL East. Still wide open.
Yeah. Good for your Rays. Good for Goots' O's. He's bricked up. Not great for my Nats. But Goots, you got to be happy. Jovan, you got to be happy.
I am.
I got to face this guy a couple times a year.
I've been seeing this on the feed a lot that people think the Mets, they're not going to contend. They're not going to win. I would argue they got one of the best farm systems in the league that I love. I have a lot of baseball league. I think they're going to get one or two. What do they want? They got some good coming up. They got Jet Williams. I don't know. I hate seeing that on the feed because I really think they're going to be a good team.
It's a new era up there.
Yeah. Even looking at the pieces they have around them, the Mets' future is a lot better, or looks a lot better right now than the Yankees' future, especially since you're getting a little closer to the tail end of all the Yankees guys. But if you're the Mets, for the next handful of years, you're getting the end of prime Lindor. You're going to get a couple pitchers as well. The farm system is loaded, and they got young guys coming up. So future's a little brighter. And I can only assume this is it's a win now move. We all know that, but it's not the end of the moves.
No. And Soto could take Acuna under his win too. Little baby.
Yeah, little Acuna.
He sucks.
He had a good ending of the year last year.
He's setting whiff records. But we'll see.
We'll see.
I was about to just bring this up. That kind of puts the final nail in the coffin as well with Pete Alonso. I know not a lot of people really are talking about that or care. You think there's a chance they might bring him back too?
If I'm Pete Alonso, I wouldn't be really
taking a little bit of a discount.
Taking a little bit of a discount to go back to the Mets to do what? To go to the Yankees? Obviously, you're going to get a bigger payday, but if he actually wants to win, like he says he wants to win, I'm not really sure your future's there. Especially if they're mortgaging their future. I know the Yankees are they're going to go out and give a blank check to not just Pete Alonso, but to every free agent. They're going to go and I've been hearing they're rumbling to get a pitcher. Obviously, they love Fried. He's probably going to be big in talks. But like, if I'm just any free agent right now, we're getting the end of, I don't know, Stanton. You're getting a weird like Jazz situation. You're getting all these prospects that the Yankees talk up like they're the greatest players of all time. Haven't panned out so far. They all suck for the most part. I just wouldn't be that excited to go to the Yankees.
Maybe they do bring Pete back. Look, it's a new time up there in New York or up there at Citi Field. You got Cohen, who's willing to spend some coins, right? New owner comes in a couple years ago. And, we've talked a lot about that Mets team when they, their new owner probably got a little ahead of himself and made a bunch of moves a couple years ago. Obviously, it blew up in his face. He took a step back. He waited it out this past season. And that Mets team, even without making a huge splash in free agency this past season, they went on a run and they were impressive. They overperformed. I think they have some good pieces as well in their farm system and on their active roster. I think Juan Soto, you add him into this team and they're already, top contenders in the NL right off the rip. You put them right up there with the Dodgers, probably right under them, right? The Mets number 2. I think this team's building something good, and it's a new time up there in New York. It's not, as much of a Lakers-Clippers type split as it's been in years past, I feel like. You got a new owner up there in Cohen who's willing to spend some coins. He's making a splash once again. I wouldn't be shocked if they go out and get another arm as well. I know they got some veterans on that roster, but they're going to go out and they're going to hit the market. Cohen's not done. He's not done. Exciting time to be a Mets fan. Good for you guys. The rare Mets fans out there, instead of being a Yankee fan, you guys deserved one. All right. You've been waiting a long time, right? And good for you guys for holding pat, right? And sticking with your squads. You were just rewarded handsomely. And yeah, I guess my final question is, what do the Yankees fans do with those 22 jerseys? They keep them in case they run out of toilet paper in the bathroom. They throw them out. What do they do with those 22 jerseys? Because, look, you could ask me the same question, but mine still has a 2019 World Series patch on the shoulder, right? At least we got something out of it. What do the Yankees fans do with a patchless 22 jersey? Well, so I'll leave it at that.
Santander is going to be a Yankee, so they can just change that jersey.
Yeah, maybe wait till some other wash free agent they overpay wears that number, and then you can start using it again.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. We got a couple more subbies coming in. Love to see it. We got Devon72 coming in here. Let's bang a squad ride today on this Moose slate. Yes, sir. We got Gabe Rod coming in, resubbing for 21 months as well. Pax Picks coming in, resubbing. W Gents. Appreciate you guys. Tons of subbies coming in on a Monday afternoon. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right. Any other Juan Soto comments, nugs, thoughts before we move?
Not too much. I mean, I'm excited about the AL now because you already thought, even like with the Yankees winning it, and I think they were still like the best team throughout the run by a pretty decent margin last year. Like, they're not going to be this year. They can be up there with the best and still compete, but like the Royals are upstart, up and coming, fell just short. The Guardians are always going to be good. Who knows what their team's going to look like? I mean, you got the cast of AL East teams. Like, obviously, I would say the Orioles are always going to be a good regular season team. The Red Sox are on the come up. We'll see what moves they make. Like, you can make an argument for a shit ton of teams in the AL, and I think it's going to be absolute madness. And whether the NL just ends up being a Dodgers-Mets collision course or not, the AL is going to be super fun. So I'm excited to see, especially today, with whatever deals some teams pull out, what it's going to look like.
All right. Good for baseball that Mr. Soto signs a fat deal with a team not named the Yankees or the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
99% of people got to be happy.
Willie Adames, that was interesting, to say the least. I'm just like, I like Willie Adames, of course, Rays legend. And I think that's like it's a cool place for him to go. I'm glad he got paid. Defensively, I mean, that whole side of the infield with him and Chapman is amazing. But that is the most obvious like power regression signing of all time. We have Willie Adames coming off of and it's a long signing, so like I'm not saying it's going to be doomed like for the entirety of it, but he's coming off of a career high in homers in Milwaukee. Not that Milwaukee's this giant like hitter's park; it's far from that. But you're taking a guy coming off a shortstop at that, coming off a career power season, and he's a power hitting shortstop, and you're taking him to San Francisco, where hitters go to die. Like, I can tell you, whether it's the BTL goat whale or the one that I'm actually going to put out, whatever Willie Adames home runs ends up at, I am putting that less than in whatever entry, because it's just so obvious. And it's also the fact that, like, in Milwaukee, he was like protected by a bunch of guys that like their whole thing was putting the ball in play. They were like pesky hitters that were tough to deal with. So like you had to kind of pitch to Willie, and you don't really have to do that in San Francisco. The lineup's good, but it's a lot of swing and miss, which he doesn't really help. It's like that. It's great defense ad, but that's for a power hitting shortstop coming off a career year. That's like what Tony Taters is going to be doing, depending on where he goes. Like, it's a pretty obvious regression spot that's going to happen. And some team's going to overpay. I love Tony Taters, but he ain't hitting that many home runs again, and you're going to be overpaying for it, which is the problem.
All right. Have the Giants lost their fastball? Gosh, 5-10 years ago, they were one of the best orgs in baseball. And I feel like they were in the World Series every other year. I'm with you, Jovan. What's up with that approach? Bringing in power hitters in a park where you should probably be bringing in contact hitters, taking more of a Nats approach, putting the ball in play, or a Brewers approach, putting the ball in play. I don't get it.
It's a thing.
You're not playing to your strengths.
They've been trying that. Like, they needed a shortstop, sure. But, like, that's not the guy that I'd go out and pay a bunch for, because he really doesn't solve any problems in the lineup. He kind of adds to them, which is a little bit of the problem. And again, I love Willie. He's not going to act like he's some absolute scrub. That was just an odd one to go out and get. I know they kind of just they want to spend money. The Giants are always in talks to spend a shit ton on every large free agent, and I guess maybe you jump at the bit that the time you actually get one. But I don't know, dude. If that ends up being like the only move they make, which I don't think it's going to be, I'm just interested to see if like they're going to go out and actually get like a big fish like Corbin Burns or some other pitcher to add that's actually going to be a large ad and not one of their bullshit back end guys. I'm pretty confused.
Real quick, where do you think Crochet ends up?
It's a good question. I would love to say the Reds, not just for Tonsil's purposes, but
there's no fucking chance.
I think there's a chance. That's the one that's weirdly been getting the most smoke. But I guess the one that would make the most sense is the other NL Central team, the Cubs. I just don't know if they're willing to pay the price for it.
Okay. Nats. There's been talks, but I doubt it. Too big of a name for us. He's an Oriole. Wonder who put that message in the chat. Could be. He could be, they're in the market for an arm. Why not the Mets? Maybe the Mets go out there and get another guy. I have no fucking clue where Crochet is going to end up. No idea. All right, let's move. I want to talk about the college football playoffs for a little bit before we get into some winners for tonight. I'm sure chat does as well. We got Pickett Pro pulled up. If you guys aren't hip to Pickett Pro, check it out on your desktop. Try out the free trial. If you're placing bets every day, if you're in here every day, you should probably check out Pickett Pro and see if it's something you can utilize on a daily basis. It's pretty fucking fire. It's Pickett's, premium version on your desktop or laptop. Okay, guys, not on your phone. So if you haven't checked out Pickett Pro yet, we're going to go through it and use that to check out the college football playoff matchups coming up. And maybe we can start out with a little Hoosiers and Notre Dame talk here. Let me get the Irish out of the way here.
Before we say that, Krabs, are you pleased that Alabama got left out of the playoff?
Yeah, we could start big picture. Am I pleased that Alabama is out of the playoff picture? Yeah. I'm happy to see the good guys get one. I'm happy to see the ACC get taken care of here. Do I think, the teams that might have snuck in are better overall? And if SMU played Alabama 10 times, would they beat them more than 5 times? Probably fucking not. But at the end of the day, you got to reward teams for winning fucking games. And if they're in a power conference, they're in a power conference. I'm tired of this big dick swinging contest between the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, and ACC. At the end of the day, you got to fucking reward winning. And I know the ACC commissioner going on before, the games this weekend, bitching, complaining, getting out ahead of it was annoying as heck. And I'm an ACC guy, and I thought it was annoying as heck. But he's not wrong. And I don't know if that had an effect on the committee making a decision here. Maybe they were already going to take care of SMU, and it was all bullshit. But I'm happy that we're seeing teams with good records who took care of business, did job, regardless of their opponents, regardless of their conferences. And we see, in my opinion, the teams who deserve it the most getting in. So, yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy about it. And also, as an ACC guy, a little bit biased, I'm happy to see teams like Clemson, teams like SMU, both getting involved, both getting in this puppy. We'll see how it plays out. I'm sure, once both those teams fucking lose in the first round, you're going to hear people saying, oh, it should have been Bama. But You got to reward teams for winning.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jovan?
I was watching the selection show yesterday, and like I obviously I hate SMU. I can't stand SMU, but I could not watch them get screwed this year and not go in the playoffs. But I was watching the selection show yesterday. Obviously, ESPN, SEC pays the bills, quite literally, because they have that massive contract. So what do you know? You go on the selection show. There's Nick Saban. There's Greg McElroy, former Bama coach, former Bama quarterback. So of course they're going to be upset and pissed off. It's just the argument that I hate the most. That Saban was the first one, I guess, not the first one, but he was bitching about it all day. It was like, if they're not going to reward strength of schedule, then we're just going to go out in non-conference and schedule like softies every year, which, first of all, SMU's strength of schedule in non-conference was actually better than Bama's. And Alabama's losses came because they're in SEC play and played and lost to two teams that wouldn't be in a bowl game if they didn't beat Bama. It's like that is the whole part that kind of pisses me off a little bit. And I'm just thinking, like, why don't you guys just beat Vanderbilt and not get smoked 24-3 and not score a single touchdown against an Oklahoma team that was actually pitiful? But yeah, they didn't deserve to be in the playoff. SMU teams at some point got to get rewarded for playing games. You can't just look at the patch on your jersey and say, we're going to be favored by this much and we're going to win all these hypothetical games, because the SEC has never lost a hypothetical game. Because at the end of the day, they would have won every hypothetical game against Oklahoma because they're massive favorites. They would have won every hypothetical game against Vanderbilt because they're also massive favorites. And look where we're at. Those are the two reasons they're not in the fucking playoff. And if strength of schedule was not considered, then that debate between SMU and Bama would not be a thing. It would be a debate between SMU and Miami. So clearly it's weighted to some degree. So yes, I am, as much as I do not want to see SMU succeed, I'm glad they're in the playoff and get a shot.
Same. I think they deserve it. I think the committee did the right thing. We'll see how it plays out. People are going to bitch either way. Yeah, you want to make the college football playoffs? Then don't lose to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's not like they're complaining about like why do we even schedule anymore? The teams that you did schedule, like if you want to talk about the teams that you went out there and scheduled, Wisconsin, who was
South Florida, Western Kentucky,
USF, it was a 6-point game with 5 minutes left in that game. You played Western Kentucky, who is terrible, and then they played Mercer. Like SMU, respectfully, they went out there and they played another team that probably should have been a little closer to the playoff conversation than they were. BYU, who was a 10-win team. They played 8-win TCU, who was just outside of that little smorgasbord of race in the Big 12. A lot more respectable of non-con than them. So, like, if you want to go that route, then go that route. You're going to lose that battle.
All right, let's keep a big picture here before we go into matchups. I want to talk college football playoff winner. I want to talk natty champ. I want to talk who you think is running the table and winning this whole fucking shebang. Jovan, who do you think wins the college football playoff this year? Who's your natty champ?
I'm going to go to Notre Dame. Sticking to it.
Wow.
Sticking to it. And honestly, I don't want to say the Indiana game scares me more than Georgia, because it obviously doesn't, but seeming like Carson Beck is headed for the shelf. A lot of reports came out this morning with he's got a UCL injury, and that you're probably going to be looking at the backup come in. And after everybody was saying that the backup looked great after one drive against Texas, no, he didn't. Like, we got to take off the blinders, because he was terrible. He had one good drive where they were kind of unexpected, or it's kind of unexpected. He ran down the field like he was using his legs a little bit. Other than that, they ran the ball and he didn't throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field. So, like, no, he didn't look good. But if Notre Dame can get past Indiana, which I still think is a big if, just like all the other games, I think they beat Georgia. I think the path lines up at the bottom of the bracket for them, and that'll be a fantastic couple of games there. But I do, from the bottom of the side of the bracket especially, I like where Notre Dame lines up. I think this is finally the year. But at the top of the bracket, I think everybody kind of is in agreement that Texas has an easy road. I don't think so. I think the more challenging road is the road that I would rather take, and that's with Ohio State. Because people say, like, you're going to have to beat, in theory, because you're talking all the favorites, if there's no upsets, you'd have to beat Tennessee, you'd have to beat Oregon, and then you have to beat Texas. Tennessee's not good. Let's just call it what it is. Nico's not good. And you got a team in Ohio State playing at home in the shoe, where I think their defense is going to have him in hell. So, again, not saying that's going to be an easy game, but I like them in that. Then you get a rematch against Oregon, who's fantastic. But what have I been saying from the start of this whole thing? Even like before the Big Ten championship, I guess last week I brought it up. This is the year of chaos. You're playing, or you have one flawless team in all of this playoff coming in. That's a death wish in my eyes. So as much respect as I have for Oregon, I don't know that I trust them to get it done. So you have Ohio State in a rematch there, which if there was a rematch in the Big Ten championship, I would have taken Ohio State 15 out of 15 times. Then you get who knows who it's going to be from that top side of the bracket. If it's Texas, good Lord, hang it up. If it's Arizona State, I think that team's a lot better than people realize, not just because they beat the shit out of Iowa State, but if you've actually put eyes on them, unlike a lot of people, they're a damn good football team. Scottibo's amazing. Levitt's been fantastic. Defense has been significantly better too, but that's a tough road. If Clemson gets there and has their Cinderella run, God forbid, I mean, it's probably the perfect time for it to end in the semis against Ohio State. So I would not be surprised. I know it takes a lot to get both those teams there, but if you do get Notre Dame and Ohio State, I would not be shocked to say the least, but I like Notre Dame. I'm sticking to it.
Okay, go Irish, go. Boots is Brecht. I like Ohio State. I like the Buckeyes. I'm seeing people in chat saying Ryan Day, no fucking chance. He's 0-for against the SEC. No way this guy fucking wins a game. No way this guy wins a natty. I think it's Ohio State's year. I think it's finally the year they cash in. They have the most expensive defense in college football. I think that shows up in the playoffs here. They're laying 7.5 to Tennessee. I feel like I probably don't have to sell that much. They get that win. And then they've got either Texas or Arizona State, in my opinion. And look, that's not a great, situation there. Those are two solid teams like you're just talking about. But, they're going to get through Oregon in that game. It's tough to beat a team twice in the same season. And although we just saw a couple squads do that over conference championship week, I'd take Ohio State over Oregon. I love that angle, very strong angle there. The second time around, I'll take the Buckeyes there in that matchup, even if that means they're playing at Oregon. And then I think it's going to be either Texas or Arizona State there, obviously. I'm not going to be banking on Clemson making any moves this season. Fuck that team and fuck Dabo. I like Ohio State's chances in both of those games. Texas, look, it could just be their year. Okay, I know they lost another game to fucking Georgia in the SEC championship, but that makes me want to back Texas even more in the playoffs. So I would not sleep on them. That will be Ohio State's toughest test if it's Texas there once they get through. But I still like the Buckeyes' path. I took them at plus 450 a couple of days ago before the conference championship started up, and I'm sticking with my pick here. I think it's the Buckeyes. I think Ryan Day finally gets one. I know their QB doesn't show up when the lights are bright, but my goodness, does anybody believe in this Ohio State offense? Probably not, but I want to lean on the best defense in the college football playoffs, which in my opinion is the Buckeyes, and they've got some great weapons on offense as well. Ryan Day is extremely due. If he doesn't get it done or get a couple wins in this playoffs, he's probably looking for a new job. So I'll take the Buckeyes at plus 450 to run the table and win the college football playoffs and be your natty champs for this season.
Yeah, I will say that that loss to Michigan, I know it wasn't the year before, so you don't have like the gap, but it definitely gives me like Michigan TCU vibes where it's the loss that gets you fired up to make a run. In Michigan's case, it was the next year, but Ohio State has the luxury of not having to wait that long to get their little retribution on that. So
yep.
I definitely don't want to be fading Ohio State really at all until we definitely get there. I would be so much more in on them if Will Howard was not their quarterback. And
I know.
That's not me being prisoner of the moment saying that, because he was fucking terrible against Michigan. I think everybody saw that with their own eyes, but I've been preaching since before he even took a snap for Ohio State that he sucks at football, because I watched him at Kansas State for quite a bit. So if he folds, I wouldn't be shocked either. That's why I'm sticking to the bottom of the brackets. Jeremiah Love legacy for the championship.
All right. We'll see what happens. Chat's liking that. Jeremiah Love in the college football playoffs about to be electric. Timothy's saying right now. Sure. All right. Why don't we dive into some of the matchups? We'll go back to Pick It Pro. We'll check out some of these spreads in the first round. We don't need to spend too much time on this, but curious of Jovan's thoughts and chat's thoughts. And we can start out with this first game, Indiana, Notre Dame. Speak of the devil, speak of your natty champs. Assuming you got the Irish in this one, do you think they cover though? Laying the 7.5, a number that really nobody wants to take back in a favorite.
Yeah, kind of think they do, but you know what immediately stood out to me, and it's not like really I'm very aware of Indiana's offense and how efficient they are, how good they are. Total looks high to me immediately. And I think if Notre Dame was really going to have them in a box, we'd be seeing 40s from the jump. We see like 50.5, 51. I think this game, even if Notre Dame goes out and puts it on them and destroys them, I think it's going to have to be like similar to USC, that game in some form or fashion, where it's back and forth. Maybe they get a defensive score, maybe they don't. That game was crazy, but I think it'll be a decent set, like a really good game to watch with a lot of points, a lot of offense. And frankly, like I know Indiana's defense was pretty solid against Ohio State. The only reason they gave up that many points is because their special teams was incompetent. I don't think their defense is going to look nearly as good against Notre Dame.
Okay. I could see points here. That total is probably a little bit high. I agree. Looks like the early bets are coming on that under as well. We're seeing that total maybe moving a point down from 51.5, but as long as it stays in the 50s, could certainly back that angle with you. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana keeps it within a touchdown either in this game.
Early. I'm surprised there's that many Indiana bets this early. I know it's super small sample size for now, but I was expecting, I mean, that's a team that nobody really cares for in the playoff, but everybody's betting them so far.
Great story this season. And who wants to back Notre Dame ever, unless you're a fan, right?
I guess, yeah.
You know,
Notre Dame's like the perennial decided fraud, I guess. And
yeah,
Indiana's
they're like
the new fraud on the scene, I guess, labeled by everybody.
And Indiana coming off that absolute spanking in their last game, 66-0, I think, to end the season. Yeah. So people might be back on the Hoosier train.
Yeah, I want it to be known it's probably going to be snowing too. So,
Total's that high in a snow game?
Yeah.
Maybe
we are getting some points.
Weirder. I figured it would be cold. I didn't know it was going to be snowing.
It's going to be freezing.
Yeah, so
I like points.
Jeremiah Love is on the card.
He's grabbing.
On the card for sure.
He's grabbing. I like points. I'd say Indiana probably keeps it within a tutty, but I don't know if I'll be betting that. But I do think this will be a relatively, tough test for the Irish. I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk. Do I like your angle of backing the Irish to potentially, run the table here and make a move and maybe even get to the Natty? Sure. But I think they have their hands full against a great coach coming in on the road. And this team has a chip on their shoulder they have all season. Who's to say they can't cover one more? And this might surprise some people. I know Indiana's been, a surprising team this year. Nobody really expected them to do any of this. Their coach has got the bag because of it. They're 9-3 against the spread. You know who's even better against the spread? The Irish. 10-2 this season against the spread. An absolute wagon for bettors. I bet you if you ask most people, you wouldn't think that Notre Dame's been better ATS than Indiana this season. They quietly have. Two ATS wagons in this spot. Maybe it's just the over and you stay off a side, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Irish in their first playoff game keep it close, and then maybe you see them roll down the stretch. But I think we see some points here as well. I'm with you there on that over. Okay?
Yeah, fair.
Irish win. In my opinion, they win by 4 or 5, and we get an over in that game. Let's move on to game number 2. What do we got, Gootsy? Ooh, Navy Army. Sure. We'll be Goots on ground, boots on ground at that game 2 chat this weekend. Me and Goots going to Army Navy. All right, that spread moved from a pick 'em to 6.5. We'll save that talk for Friday. But interesting seeing that movement. How about SMU and Penn State? You were talking about SMU. Sure, we're happy they got in. They got what they deserved. And I 100% agree. But they're getting 8.5 points now against Penn State coming in off a loss. Do we think it's the Nittany Lions here as a big favorite? Or do we think SMU keeps up their magic this season, Jovan, and potentially pulls off a crazy upset after losing that game to Clemson this weekend?
I think they might have a little more magic in them, Krabs. Because as much as I do kind of respect Penn State, and I think they still might win the game and get through. Man, Drew Allen looked fantastic in that game. The offense looked fantastic. The defense got exposed a little bit by a team that challenges them more down the field and with a lot of speed. Obviously, SMU is kind of built just like a lesser version of Oregon, so relatively similar. I looked at this game and immediately, you know what it took me to, Krabs? And I know it's a little different because it's obviously a home game, whiteout, big environment. Nobody's going to think they're worth the shit there. But you know who else was plus 8.5 in a playoff game when nobody really expected them or wanted them to be in there and counted them out from the start?
Frogs.
The Frogs. And you know what I heard in all the weeks leading up to that game? They're going to play a big physical Big Ten team. they're just going to run the ball down their throat. They're just going to be that much better. There's such a big talent difference on the field. And in this case, I guess for Penn State, it's a little different. You're going into a crazy environment in a whiteout. They have no shot to compete in the game. I feel like it's such a similar game, a hilariously similar game. And again, as much as I like that offense, and I loved what they did against Oregon, and I think that shouldn't go unnoticed, I don't know if I can fade SMU in that spot.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what I want to take when it comes to his side in this game. Totals up from 52 to 53.5. A lot of bets coming in on this over. Probably makes a lot of sense after what we saw this past weekend as well, backing it over in this game. It's going to be a nasty, crabby under in this one, but it might be just football brain seeing points in this one, staying off that nasty under. Both these teams have been wagons to the over of late as well. But shit, I could see myself potentially getting to the counter with a gross under when the lights are bright in this game after we saw both offenses shine last week. And although it wasn't enough to get a win, I wouldn't mind selling high on both these offenses when the lights are bright. I know Penn State's been a covering machine over the last decade or so, but what have they actually won in games that matter? So they might be a little bit nervous heading into this game when the lights are bright at home. And SMU, I mean, they're in the same boat too. When the fuck have they ever been here? Never. Right? The lights might be a little bright for them. Maybe it's a little first half under. Get in, get out. And then the teams regroup at halftime and you see their best selves on offense after the nerves kind of simmer down. But maybe a first half under here. Get in, get out. I could see myself locking that in.
And I'll tell you what, one of the reasons I thought the Notre Dame team total was a little high is because I looked at this total and there was a field goal or less difference after.
Yeah.
I mean, there were, 80 points in the Penn State game against Oregon? Obviously, better offense, worse defense, I guess you could argue. Not really, but then SMU, I mean, there's 65 points in their game, and they're obviously a very electric offense. Two offenses that are absolutely fucking rolling right now. And field goal difference between these two games. So either this total is shockingly low or Notre Dame total is shockingly high, or maybe it's both.
A little bit of both. What do you think, chat? Is it SMU or is it Penn State in this spot? We got Trent Attia's mother coming in, resubbing. Sure. Surely that's her, right? W's. We got Unknown Time Zone coming in, dropping a follow. Let's go. W's, gents. Gabe Rod, thanks again for the subby. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I want to bet a side in this one. It might be that first half under. Get in, get out. All right. Who wins this game? Spreads aside. Who do you think advances?
I think Penn State does, but I think it'll be by the skin of their teeth.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the dog that wins outright, but I don't have a read on the side. All right. Let's move on to the next game. I believe it's Clemson and Texas. Clemson coming off that unbelievable win over the weekend that got them into the playoffs. Good for them. Texas coming off a loss in a game that I thought they had. I thought they were finally going to do it. They didn't. It's an interesting game. You got Clemson in this puppy. I want to fade them, but they're getting 11 points. This is a large, large spread. This spread tells me Texas rolls coming off an embarrassing loss. But do I want to take the bait, fading Dabo? Who the heck wants to bet on Dabo in this spot? Probably nobody. But they are coming off that win against SMU, so maybe people are buying back into the Clemson train. I think it's Texas here laying this big number, though, coming off that loss to Georgia. That's where I would lean when it comes to his side. I'd lean the Longhorns on the spread. Look at all these bets coming in on Clemson right now already. I know it's early money, not a ton of sample here, but it's probably the Longhorns for me laying this big old number.
Yeah, I don't know that I can push the button because Clemson is kind of built to beat a team like Texas, and obviously cool narrative too with Cade Klubnik going back to Austin. But yeah, I wouldn't argue that the number's really big because some of the numbers that we've seen for Clemson, even like them being +3, I guess, to SMU on a somewhat neutral field, I feel like it's fair to have that gap against Texas. But I don't know realistically how many people are going to want to back Texas after that performance where, I mean, they gave Georgia the game on a silver platter, and anytime the lights have been turned up a little bright, they always fold. And I don't know how bright the lights are going to be when you're at home as 11-point favorites in the playoff against a team that shouldn't be there in the first place, but we'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Do we really want to fade Clemson, a team that people don't even think belongs in this puppy? that's typically a team that I want to back when nobody's in their corner. That makes this a really tough angle here. I'd still lean the Longhorns laying that big number, though, off the first rip. Okay? That total's dropping 2 points as well. Maybe we see those defenses stand up. Maybe we see Texas's defense fucking carry them to a win in this game. We know their defense is elite.
Sure as hell isn't going to be the offense that carries them to a win. Got to be somebody else. Got to be the other side of the ball. It's the one side of the ball that's been keeping them in games.
Yeah. Total's dropping. Maybe it's that under. Okay. One more game here, and then we're going to get to some winners for tonight, guys. Tennessee and Ohio State. Already kind of talked about this one a little bit. Some serious respect for the Buckeyes here, laying 7.5 against a very good Tennessee team, at least in the public's mind, that comes in with the same records, only one ranking off as well. I lean Ohio State here. Who the heck wants to lay a touchdown plus the hook with this Buckeyes team that's already dropped 2 games this season, a team that nobody believes in. Nobody thinks Ryan Day is going to win shit. They're coming off a loss, and Tennessee ended the season pretty well, winning 4 of their last 5. Who the heck wants to back Ohio State laying the field goal or the touchdown, the hook? And as you can see right here early on, I know it's not a big sample, but it kind of agrees with me here on Pick It Pro. Nobody really wants to back Ohio State. That's the team I'm taking. I think they win this game big, double digits, and they stuff a Tennessee team that me and Jovan have been screaming from the mountaintops as a fraud all season. You finally see it play out that way. And Ohio State's defense stands on business. Nico makes a couple bad throws, a couple turnovers, and the Buckeyes win this game by double digits.
Yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth, too, I know Pick It Pro, small sample size, but I'm looking at the Green Book splits. There is one overwhelmingly public side out of all 4 of the games, and it is Tennessee by a wide margin, 80% plus on both the bets and the money. So, yeah, you know where I stand. It makes me physically throw up having to bet on Will Howard in the playoff game, but coming off of a loss to Michigan, welcome to the horseshoe. Mr. Nico, I don't even know how to say his last name, or I don't even want to try to pronounce it, but
sure.
Yeah, it's been coming all season, a performance like this, and obviously low total, and rightfully so, as good as the defense has been for really both teams. And Tennessee's defense will keep them in the game. I mean, they're physical. They're going to have Ohio State's run game in probably a pretty tough predicament. They're going to make Will Howard make plays. Will he make them? I don't know, but I think he makes enough, because I sure as hell don't think the quarterback on the other side is making any plays in this game.
Yeah, I think Will Howard shines in this one. Total's moving up. Spread's moving towards Ohio State. Might be my favorite angle so far off the rip, but I think the Buckeyes win this game big.
I'm interested to see where that line, if it moves at all. If it stays at 7.5 and just does not move for the entirety of the 2 weeks until it happens.
Just taking all those bets.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, I think it's the Buckeyes. I really do. I think it's the Buckeyes. What do we think, chat? You guys are talking about Scatterbo. You still can't get over how fucking good he is. I mean, yeah, he's
goated, dude. He's goated.
Scatterbo, my favorite player, Big Cheese, he's saying in the chat. Sure. All right. Notre Dame or Ohio State for the Bozo leg, Kev's asking. I think it's Ohio State. Do I think the Irish lose this game? No, but I do think that game's a little bit closer, and I'd probably lean Indiana on the spreads. I'd rather play Ohio State as a money line parlay piece, but maybe that's just me.
I would say I feel more confident about Ohio State in the game than Notre Dame for the stretch of the playoffs if they were to get past Indiana.
Okay.
So I love Notre Dame, their outlook for the playoff, but if we're just talking single game by game, Tennessee's not beating Ohio State.
Okay. Agreed. All right. Let's move on to some winners for today, huh? Why don't we talk about some plays that we like for tonight? We cut the sharp report down a little bit, guys, and I got really nasty with that second play, but let's start with Minnesota. Let's start with college basketball. Look, it ain't much, but it's honest work looking at this slate tonight. One of the better games on tonight in college basketball. Minnesota on the road against Indiana. I know fading the Hoosiers at Assembly Hall is a death wish, but sometimes I just can't resist, my man. And tonight with Minnesota, who has not covered a game in weeks. They've had some pushes in there, but they haven't covered a game in weeks. They're 1-7-2 against the spread so far this season, playing an Indiana team that's coming in off of 3 straight wins and 3 straight covers. Yeah, I'll take Minnesota. I'll take the Gophers getting 10 points here on the spread on the road. look, I know fading this Indiana team at Assembly Hall, it's not for the faint of heart, guys. And typically, it's not the greatest bet. But tonight, on a short slate, cannot ignore Minnesota catching a little bit of steam as well, down from 10.5 to 9.5. It's got to be the Gophers. They've got enough, in my opinion. They got a couple guys, Dawson Garcia, Lucille Patterson, and Mike Mitchell, the Pepperdine transfer, that could keep them within 10 points in this game. And I would love to fade Indiana coming off of 3 straight big-time wins and covers that were really no sweat.
Yeah, I'll be right there with you. If it wasn't on your side, it would have been on mine. And I like the Gophers. I'll be taking them.
Okay. Let's get nasty. Yep.
This next one is filthy.
Probably could have taken the under in the game, but instead I said, why not take a plus chicken play on the books? I think this is plus 100 before BTL started up tonight. But look, it's a nasty under that, typically I'd probably be bringing and putting on the sharp report. But these defenses might just be that bad. Instead of just taking the under in this game and it being a fucking field goal fest with Aubrey and with Cincy, I think maybe it's this play, cheeky, plus chicken on the books, less than 5.5 touchdowns in this game. And I could potentially, not root against my guy Aubrey, just making kicks left and right, hopefully beating Goots in fantasy tonight. We'll see how that goes. Probably just jinxed it. But this is the easiest over on the slate, probably the entire fucking weekend in the NFL. It's going to find a way to lose. I'm going to take it an extra step, get a little cuter, take it a plus chicken, and fade the touchdowns on this cheeky prop on the books. I don't know if we're getting 6. We might get 3. Shit, we might get 4. 5, maybe even 5 as well. But 6 tutties tonight? I feel like you're going to see the Cowboys offense stall out at times. Maybe the Bengals defense shows a pulse for the first time in weeks. But I cannot buy into points in the over in this game, to be completely honest with you. It simply makes too much sense. I'll take this cheeky plus chicken prop on the books that pretty much backs the under with some better odds. And I'll fade both offenses to stall out at times and get those kickers up and moving. Kickers have been huge parts of these primetime games. I think they are again tonight.
I was about to say, how much of this is you needing some Aubrey points?
I need Aubrey to show up tonight. That's for sure. That's for sure. Maybe I wanted to stay away from that under so I can root for both. Sure. But it's also plus chicken on this under 5.5 touchdowns in this game. Could be the difference. Could it be too cute? Only one way to find out.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What do you got on the straight bets over there on your sector?
Take it to the ice. Late night game. This is a horrendous hockey slate, and somehow I have a straight bet and a square that we'll talk about in a bit. But
sure,
I like the over in this Ducks Habs game, and this is kind of the same thing I've been doing, more so like with players and top teams, but even with I guess the Habs especially, they're coming in. Both these teams, I guess you could say this about. They're playing. Yes, that's who's on the bottom screen. But they've been playing a lot of really tough defensive teams for like really the past 2 weeks. Like you just look at the last 5 games: Caps, Preds, Isles, Bruins, Rangers. And I know the Rangers have been decently shaky. The Preds kind of the same deal, but like defensively, they're teams that are not nearly as wide open as the Ducks. This is where they kind of get their opportunity, especially this is a 3-game homestand so far for them. They're staying home. They've actually been pretty solid so far this homestand. I feel like this is the first chance they really get to open it up against a team that I believe they still allow the most shots in the league. They're getting ripped on at a torrentious rate, and they're also coming off of a couple of performances themselves where like their last couple of games have been against the Wild, VGK, and I'm talking about the Ducks, the Wild, VGK. The Senators are opening up a little bit, but then again, back to the Kings. Like a lot of defensive teams the Ducks have been playing recently too. And they're coming off a 4-game homestand, and now they're going on the road for the first time. And this is a pretty important road stand for them because this is where they're not playing some of the best teams in the league. So they get a real chance to open it up too against a defensive team that's going to let them do that. So I think it's a collision course of spots for both teams, or for both these teams where you get goals. So very end.
Nasty over on the ice.
Nasty over, and then nasty play on the pitch. And this guy's kind of right. Probably should take West Ham. I was looking at a couple of these games because there's one game in La Liga, there's 1 game in EPL, and there's 1 game in Serie A. The Serie A game is even too nasty for me to get involved in. But I saw both the favorites. West Ham with Antonio news. Prayers up for him, of course. They're short favorites in that game. They're probably winning. And Getafe is probably winning too, which is why I'm putting my coin on it. Krabs, trying to break it down for you in a way that maybe you would.
What league is this, first off?
It's La Liga. It's Spain. But this is probably the equivalent of Nats Rockies. Maybe worse. Maybe worse, honestly, because Getafe is fucking pitiful. Like, they cannot score goals to save their lives. Granted, like, they're playing Espanyol, so like they're not much better. But they're coming off a pretty big win for them, I would say, against Celta Vigo in their last La Liga game. They had a weird like Copa del Rey game punched in the middle of there where they took a pretty deflating loss, I think, on the road. But other than that, like, Getafe has been absolutely pitiful themselves too, and they've been shut out. Like, there are 3 of their last 4 La Liga games. So they've been absolutely pitiful. And I was looking back at some of the lines because I was curious to find out, like, because the first thing that attracted me to this, I see Getafe hanging -140. Why in the fuck are they ever hanging -140 in a spot like this? Because I've seen time and time, not just La Liga, but a lot of these like toilet bowls in Serie A, especially, because that's where my brain first goes when I'm looking at pitch slates on pretty dry slates. You get a lot of these plus money games on both sides where you kind of know it's probably going to end 0-0, 1-1. Getafe -140 when Espanyol is coming off of, I don't know, I would say the most impressive performance in La Liga play so far, because they're also a team that doesn't score goals. They've been pretty defensive, and their offense is pitiful, just like Getafe's is. This line feels like it kind of tells all. So, like, in this game with this slate, had to get on the pitch somehow, some way. This is how I'm going to do it.
Trying to look up their recent schedule here. Looks like they got, Getafe 0-0 in their last game here, potentially.
I mean, they've been absolutely pitiful, Krabs. That was a Copa del Rey game, by the way, and they advanced in that game against that's a really bad team. But like, their La Liga games, I mean, they got shut out by Real Madrid. They won a game against Valladolid. They got shut out by Girona. They got shut out by Celta Vigo, the same team that Espanyol beat 3-1 on the road, I believe. So they have not been scoring goals, to say the least, in their La Liga games. So to see a team like this hanging -140 is obscene to me.
Huh.
I just parlayed them with West Ham.
Okay.
It's probably aired.
2-piece.
Yeah.
2-piece.
West Ham, sure. The West Ham's best player got in like a car accident.
Jeez.
It's like they're still favorites with that news included. Short favorites, but still favorites.
All right, maybe they're playing for their guy.
Could be. It's a big game, big emotional spot game.
All right. We're going with Getafe. Getafe ML -140. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anybody in chat getting involved on the pitch? Look, on days like today, you got to respect Jovan's grit here. His heart, his tenacity, trying to find some winners for you guys wherever it is, whether it's on the ice, on the pitch, on the hardwoods. You know, Jovan's putting in some fucking time, some effort. He's trying to find you guys winners, whatever sport it is. Okay? Meet you guys on the pitch.
Phillies. Yeah, that'll work.
What time is this soccer game at today?
They're both at 3 Eastern. Crap.
Yeah. Hour and a half-ish.
All right. Let's go to the Prize Pick Squares. Let's take a peep at those. What are we crafting up for today? I got a nasty Cooper rushing yard square. No pun intended here. Very red chart of late. What does the Bengals defense do at all well? I mean, really nothing this season, but I know they got a couple guys in that D-line that can show up and show out. And against a banged-up Cowboys O-line that has not impressed me a ton this season, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cooper Rush a time or two have to run like a chicken with his fucking head cut off for his life out there and taking off and trying to break one here. We're not going to need a ton. Sure, I'm not worried about the knees either in this game. I do think the Bengals win. So I'm not worried about some Cooper Rush lost yards there towards the end. But, I've already seen it. Cooper Rush breaking a 5-yard run like it's the most impossible task of all time. Probably looks like he's running in slow motion. Probably looks like Tom Brady running that 40 time. Doesn't matter. Nasty square up on the boards against that Bengals D-line that I think will break through once or twice. You're going to see Cooper Rush have to fucking run it for his life. So Cooper Rush more than 2.5 rushing yards. Extremely redded out chart. I'll be taking that. And then Joe Burrow. He's got an interception square up there on Prize Picks. He threw one in the last game. He's -115 both ways on the books. I got a weird feeling that Joe Burrow is going to be extra conservative out there tonight, take care of the rock. And maybe not take as many shots down the field. He might not need to. Hopefully this team goes up early and they run the ball. I'm looking at some of these squares on Prize Picks. His pass attempt square, extremely greened out. I'm thinking that maybe the Bengals get a lead in this one. The Cowboys are dead. and they hand the ball to Chase Brown a bunch of times, and you don't have to see Joe Burrow throwing the ball downfield. You don't have to see him throw a Hail Mary before halftime or at the end of the game when they're losing in this one, like you've seen in recent weeks. I think Joe Burrow, for the first time in a couple weeks, keeps the football secured, and the Bengals offense a little bit more conservative here on the road against a banged up, just bad Cowboys squad, especially their defense. I don't believe in what the hell they got over there. I'm not seeing a pick from Zimmer's squad against Joe Burrow. And after he threw one last game, I think he regresses, takes care of the football tonight, and he does not throw a pick against the Cowboys.
Wow. Could be down with that, Krabs. Could be so down with that.
No picks.
No picks.
No picks. Okay.
Not a pick, dude.
What do you got on prize picks for today, my man?
I'll start back on the ice. Another one of those incredible games, incredibly unwatchable games, but actually probably the most entertaining game, or at least the closest game by the odds. So,
yep.
Not a game that I think is going to be a blowout. Both these teams have been fucking reeling. They've been terrible, both the Sabres and the Red Wings. But Sabres specifically, and Dylan Cousins specifically, Lindy Ruff, who's the coach of the Sabres, came out and said after last game they were embarrassed against Utah. It was a terrible performance at home. And then he came out and said, if our centers, in different words, but I can look up the exact quote, I guess, in a bit. He's like, if the centers are not going to be good enough, I'm going to move you to the wing. And he said specifically, he's talking about Tage Thompson and Dylan Cousins, who conveniently enough, you know how many SOGs Dylan Cousins had in that game where they were trailing all game. So it's not like you got an L game script for ripping some SOGs and starting some stuff on offense. Not one. Bagel. Shug's bagel. So he's coming into this. I don't know if they're going to shake up the lines, which is why I'm probably going to play his SOGs and also a point depending on where he goes. That's also up on prize picks, which is hilarious in and of itself too. But this is a game where he has to get it together. Not only did he do nothing on offense, and really all season he's been pretty inconsistent. The whole lineup's been pretty inconsistent, but he had a really bad defensive lapse too, which cost them a goal right in front of the net. So he has to be on his shit. And you can say all of the Sabres players have needed to do this for so long and haven't done it, but this game specifically against a Red Wings team that is in damn near the same spot they are, reeling, really bad defensively. You have Husso and net, who everybody's tried fading for a while, and they haven't been winning games, but I know they've been burning some people, whether you've been taking his saves or whatever thing. He's been bad himself. This is a spot where I think the Sabres offense is going to have to come out with a little bit of a plan and something better. Again, when you get called out like that, when you're talking about two specific guys and they're some of the guys at the heart of the team, and Cousins and Tage Thompson, yeah, you bet your ass you're going to bet, or I'm going to bet them to come out fired up and rip puck in this game. And for what it's worth, I know I've bet whether it's Jack Eichel or a couple of these guys that I've had on here for points and stuff, they've also had SOGs coming off of 0, and they've been fucking ripping. So not the Cousins, just Jack Eichel or Connor McDavid or anybody like that. But bagel SOGs, normal squares, I will go to that. So give me Dylan Cousins. And then I'm not going to get cute in Monday Night Football, to be honest with you. Whether they get conservative, whether it doesn't go over. Jamar Chase is playing in primetime against a massive market team with the whole league to see, the whole world to see. You're damn right I'm going to take him in some form or fashion. I have to do it. I don't even know if he has to get in the end zone to do this. Obviously, I think he does. He's minus 150 to score. Not that's irregular because he scored damn near every week, and especially at prime time he does. But I think it almost helps him, the fact that they're going to be able to actually run the ball, which is the case against the Cowboys. Really, anybody can run the ball as much as they want against the Cowboys. So Chase Brown is probably going to have a decent day. I know you're talking about that earlier. What does that do? That opens the play action bomb, which I think you're going to get a couple of times, which he doesn't need a good run game to do that, but I can tell you he's going to be glad as hell that he do. And the Cowboys have not had much resistance against wide receiver ones. I know Malik Neighbors on Thanksgiving had himself a day volume-wise. I know Terry had the big catch at the end to kind of inflate his numbers, but they allow these bombs over the top to happen. What do you think is going to happen with Jamar Chase in prime time? I will pay to find out that he's going to do it again. So Jamar Chase, square as it sounds, probably pains you, but I'm going to do it.
All right. Jamar Chase is him. You're not going to hear me bitch about that one too much. Okay. And like you said, he might be able to catch that even without finding pay dirt by just volume in this game. Good. So that Cowboys defense is actually that bad, folks. It's kind of sad, to be honest with you. Coach Zimmer, man, he's about to get absolutely canned at the end of this season. That's for sure.
Canned.
Got to be minus 1,000. Got to be. All right. Jamar Chase fantasy score and Dylan Cousins coming off a goose egg Shoogs bagel in his last game for SOGs. We're taking him on the ice tonight for the Sabres. Okay. W's. We got a couple follows coming in as well. La Capone, Unknown Time Zone coming in, dropping a follow on Twitch. We appreciate you guys. We're also live on YouTube as well. Go check us out. Go subscribe. It's free at Bookit Sports on YouTube. Okay? Dubs. Well, Jovan, we got a couple options. We got about 25 minutes left. We could dive a little bit more into this Monday Night Football game. We could maybe even craft up a prize picks lineup involving this game, going over some squares. I wouldn't mind taking a peep at that. There's a couple other angles that I've got. Or we could go over the rest of the slates in the other sports. But is that really the best use of our time? Do people even want to hear about our play in, some of these minus 30-point spreads in college basketball, or the one moose shit NBA game, or the other two NHL games that suck? Probably not. Maybe we should craft up a winner on prize picks.
Sure. You have any Penn VCU nukes, Krabs?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. If I had to take something in that game, I'm probably taking Phillip Russell more than 1.5 3-pointers made against Penn with VCU, my boys laying that fat spread. But you also mentioned his rebound square up on prize picks looking pretty weird as well. So maybe you're just better off taking Phillip Russell PRA, 16.5. He's kind of been carrying that team the last couple games, but you probably won't see me forcing any CBB this afternoon or tonight looking at these games. I mean, come on.
Fair.
I think maybe we start out with the NFL. And we don't need to keep the same squares that we just went over for the Sharp report. We can kind of take a peep at some of these other ones that are popular on the board. Maybe we take a scroll down the popular tab real quick, take a look at some of these gents. Obviously, Brandon Aubrey up for 1.5 field goals made, a goblin. Surely that comes through tonight, right? Good to see that sploogin. But a couple other guys that I wanted to talk about as well in this game. You mentioned Chase Brown. I really like Chase Brown in this game, Jovan, and I like his rush attempts. It's now up to 17.5. It got bumped up to 17 this morning from 16.5. Now it's at 17.5. Not only is that a great sign for Chase Brown, but that's a great sign for the Bengals tonight, in my opinion. Obviously, he's not Derrick Henry, but seeing a guy like Chase Brown's rushing attempts going up, it was already juiced to the over this morning, is a great sign. That probably wouldn't be moving up if the Bengals were going to be in a L game script, in my opinion. I know the Cowboys' rush defense is that bad, but come on now. If they were losing this game, they're probably throwing the ball a ton and putting the ball in the hands, putting the game in the hands of Joe Burrow. It's a great sign for the Bengals, in my opinion. And I wouldn't mind backing Chase Brown, whether it's his rush attempts more than 17.5, whether it's his rushing yards, or Jovan, if you've got any other angles, please feel free. But I know he's been a receiving menace of late. I'm not, sprinting to back him in that capacity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a preference for him, to be honest with you, because I'll tell you what, I haven't gotten this feeling about many games. There's just happened to be like 2 of them this week for whatever reason, but it's like it's a GOAT game for me. With even if it sneaks under, like I think it's going to be very close to the total. It's like I think we get points. I think you get the GOATs eating on both sides, just like we saw on Thursday night for the most part in that Packers-Lions game, and I think it's going to be entertaining. So if you want to take Chase Brown yards against this Cowboys rush defense, I mean, sign me up. I'll take Jamar Chase with him. I'll take CeeDee Lamb with him. I think it's a goat whale game. This is like one of these games where I think Trent, if he doesn't overthink, can just click buttons.
Wow. Well, maybe don't tell him that to his face, or else he's going to lose all his prospects coins.
He's gonna do it anyway.
Good point. Touche. What about Rico Dowdle receiving yards? Figured I'd ask you about this one. Probably got some opinions on it. We could pull up the chart. And also, before we move, go ahead and give me Chase Brown more than rush attempts. I can't stop thinking about that square. That's the one that I want. Fuck the results. Just get the attempts. I think it'll be there, and it's a great sign getting bumped up. But let's take a look at Rico Dowdle's receiving yards now, because he hasn't been, a huge factor in the receiving game of late, but in an L game script, in my opinion, tonight against a high-powered offense, Jovan, would you be shocked to see Rico Dowdle a little bit more involved in the receiving game?
No, not at all. Especially, maybe this makes you like it less, but you see what Russell Wilson did to the Bengals defense last week? And granted, they scored 44 points in that, and Russell Wilson is very obviously not Cooper Rush, but Jalen Warren had 4 for 55 in the air, and Najee Harris had 6 for 54. So, I mean, he was dumped down Merchant. And a lot of that came because I think the Bengals at this point kind of recognize that their secondary is moose shit. Not they really didn't before, but they've started to blitz a little more, bring pressure. So teams are not afraid to dump it down against them, I guess. And if you're Cooper Rush and you have Rico Dowdle in there, I can only assume it's going to be him and probably Jake Ferguson taping the, I don't know, short kind of volume passes.
Spencer's talking about Gesicki in chat. We'll get to that one in a moment, my man. That is a weird looking line.
I don't mind Gesicki either. Yeah.
But yeah, Rico Dowdle more than 16.5 receiving yards. Kind of want to add it to my cart. Not going to lie to you. Can't really take his receptions. It's a goblin. Guess you could take his receiving targets. But we're already taking Chase Brown rush attempts. Maybe this is where we lean into actual yards and production and take Rico to break one. More than 16.5 receiving yards. Speaking of Gesicki, our guy in chat was trying to fade Gesicki, I believe. So we'd love to take a peep at that. Looks like he's got a 2.5 receptions line that is extremely juiced to the under. Spencer saying in chat, he's only gone under this number in 4 of 12 games. Do we see Dallas's defense maybe do something cool and good for once and maybe slow down a tight end?
I don't know that I want to put coin on it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can tell you kind of think Gesicki might do job tonight. We might be seeing a Gesicki gritty.
I just think there's going to be like chunk plays, especially being the fact that, I mean, whenever the Bengals, not that they just don't send bombs, period, but like whenever they have like a decent run game in a game they can lean on a bit, they're just play action bomb after play action bomb. And like, God forbid, 1 or 2 of those is over the middle to Gesicki. I mean, I would not want to have a less than ticket in that case.
Yeah, that's facts. A lot of passes that leave Dowdle behind the line of scrimmage. Lol, Dowdle loves losing yardage. All right, well, we're going to keep that Dowdle receiving yards in there after that comment. Gesicki's the gritty gods. CeeDee Lamb rushing yards. I definitely saw that square earlier today as well. It didn't really look like I wanted to take it. I know he hasn't done shit the last 2 games, but before that, he was getting plenty involved in the rushing game, and he's still a GOAT. So, look, I'm not getting cute taking the less than. I would still lean the more than for sure, but I'm not going to be reaching and taking CD to get a rush attempt and get 2 yards on the ground. What are your thoughts on that square, Jovan? You think CD gets 2 rushing yards tonight? You think he gets one of those weird gadget plays?
I mean, I could see it. I mean, that square is always up. So like it sometimes just turns green. And I don't know. My question would be, if you're playing the Bengals defense that's already rat shit, I don't know if you need gadgets in this game, personally. Because like, look at those games that he actually did have something in. Like it was the Texans defense, which is tough and they can't run on, and the Falcons decent defense. Like their run defense at that point was a little better and a little less injured. And then like the Eagles, same deal. Like he got one against the Commanders, but it didn't go for very much. The Giants, he didn't get a carry, I don't think, because the Giants defense is rat shit. So like it's 1 carry. It's like I could see it. I'm not running to it.
Yeah, I don't want to play it. I'm good. I'm good on that one. What else, chat? You guys got any other players you think might tweak tonight that you want to go over? Barty Bart's bringing up that Burrow under 36 attempts. That might be a solo miss for me. I don't know if I can convince Jovan on that one.
Probably not.
It might be solo miss. I like Cooper Rush more than pass attempts. I like his passing yards as well. It looked a little bit high to me, but I don't think that necessarily results in success for the Cowboys necessarily, or a win. That could be they're down by 14 and Bengals defense taking a breath and Cooper Rush moving the ball down the field against prevent defense. That's kind of what I was expecting. I certainly wouldn't be fading Cooper Rush's pass yards tonight, and I kind of like his attempts. I don't know, Jovan, if you have any thoughts on Cooper Rush tonight.
I mean, you could talk me into pretty much anything Cooper Rush tonight. It's, again, somewhat obvious because like he's playing the Bengals defense, but if there's any remedy for, I don't know, or I don't even want to say remedy, but like he's a shit backup quarterback that frankly has gotten thrust into a pretty tough spot against a lot of tough defenses. He got like his slight like reprieve, I guess, from the Giants last week, but now you really get to all let it hang loose against one of the worst defenses in football. I think regardless of a win or a loss, probably going to get one of his better performances of the season, if not the best, yardage-wise.
W Subband coming in from R3TR. W's. Appreciate you. Luke Schoonmaker sneaking into the end zone. I don't think so. Yeah. I think
Berg's back.
Berg is back, right?
Did you hear it?
We see
Berg
getting involved.
Saying about his concussion. It was crazy.
No.
He's like, he woke up in the middle of the night, like couldn't find like a water bottle or something, and he started like crying because he was so like chemically imbalanced or whatever from the concussion, which is crazy. Dude. That's wild.
He was like freaking out. He couldn't find a water bottle. He started randomly crying because his brain's all wired up weird now.
Yeah.
He got a concussion.
I was like, holy shit, dude. That's the guy who's you like the doctors decided you could suit up after that, like 2 days after.
Jesus. Like, what's the rush for Jake Ferguson here? What are we trying to prove?
Maybe you shut it down for the season after that.
I mean, looking at his prize pick squares, I kind of want to take him today. I'm not going to lie to you.
He's out there playing. I mean, he's probably grubbing.
Kind of like his receiving yards. He can cry all he wants as long as he's making the catches. That might be too soon. Jake Ferguson, more than 40 yards tonight. Red as Ma. Obviously, some injuries involved in that. Obviously, some Cooper Rush involved in that. Yeah, man, Jake Ferg looking like he's going to be a pivotal part of the offense tonight, making his return for the first time in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of weird because the squares make it seem like he's going to be him. But if you think about the football game and the aspect of it, what the hell's the rush to get Jake Ferguson active and up and moving and risk another concussion, injury? What the hell are the Cowboys playing for? But, maybe Jerry hasn't heard no bell. He probably can't even fucking hear anyways, even if it did ring. But maybe Jerry's not giving up yet.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like he's just also the safety blanket. It's like even if they're not, I don't know. Not that I don't think Cooper Rush is going to be able to beat the Bengals down the field, because I definitely think that's the case I could beat the Bengals down the field, but he's just he's the go-to. I mean, Schoonmaker has been getting fed when he's in that spot. Brevin Spann-Ford has been getting fed, and they've all been running the same route tree as Ferguson, and now he's back. I mean, it's hard for me to believe, even if he's not out there for very long, he's not going to get fed.
Yep. What would you take? Would you just take his receiving yards? He doesn't have a normal reception square, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would probably just take his yards, if anything, especially since that's probably what I'd lean into the most for Cooper Rush, too.
Sure.
W stack.
Okay. Yeah. That could be a decent Mo stack here. Cooper Rush, passing yards. I obviously like that rushing yards, but it's not like it's at 40. It's at 2.5. It's going to be one play it's going to come down to. So it's not like it's crazy taking about those squares, guys, in a game with this total against that bad of a defense. Maybe it's getting Rico and Jake involved with their receiving yards and then going to Mo's, getting a stack with Cooper Rush and his passing yards, and then a little Chase Brown action on his rush attempts. That could be a good Mo's stack there. W game script. Bengals win. They start handing the ball off to Chase Brown plenty, try to kill the clock, try to get a win here on the road. And then you see Rico and Jake in the receiving game in an L game script for the Cowboys when they're clawing back into it. Get the rock from Cooper Rush. And he soars more than his passing yards, 236.5. I can see that playing out. Yeah. Are there any other squares that you could add into the fold here that fit this kind of Bengals game script, going up early, holding that lead, the Cowboys creeping back in with some garbage time yards?
I mean, I don't have any specific ones other than that. I feel like we've talked about pretty much the whole team on both sides, which is fine by me. Because again, even if the game does end up sneaking under and you don't get 50 points, I don't think it's going to be damn far off. So I think you get points in offense really any way you slice it. There's not much I wouldn't take.
You could put Joe Burrow less than pass attempts in here, and it goes from 100 to win 800 to 100 to win 700, but in a flex this time, in a 5-man. In that script, I know you think it's going to be a good old-fashioned over, so maybe I'm asking for too much here, but in a script where we like Chase Brown rush attempts, maybe we see Joe Burrow cook early and not have to cook much towards the ends. I don't think I could sell you on this. You think this is going to be a great game tonight?
I mean, it's hard to say great game when these two teams are involved, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I just think when they go up 14-3 and we're halfway through that second quarter, you're not going to see Joe Burrow taking as many shots once Jamar Chase has already scored and had 5 catches.
Like what? I mean, maybe it's me giving the Bengals too much credit for being a smartly coached team, because obviously they're not. But I mean, if you're up 14-3 on the Cowboys on the road, when they're not, I don't think, mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but basically, fuck you playing for at this point. I don't know why they just wouldn't just continue taking shots if that's what's working. Like if
maybe Joe Burrow wants to get some anger out as well.
Yeah, plus you got Jamar Chase, Jamar playing in AT&T Stadium on national television. Like, I don't know why not, but again, maybe that's just me thinking of what the Bengals would do if they're smart, because very obviously they're not.
Okay. I'm going to lock in a 4-man with the 3 Cowboy squares that we just talked about in a little W game script. Rico Dowdle more than receiving yards. Jake Ferguson more than receiving yards. Cooper Rush more than passing yards. And then Chase Brown more than rush attempts. I'll leave Joe Burrow off to the side, and I'll try to cash an 8X power play here. Feel free to get involved. Jovan, chat, Goods. I'm riding with this game script, and I'm going to put $100 on this puppy. Nothing crazy. I'm going to put $100 on that puppy. Okay? The lineup is in. You guys want the link? Anybody want the link to that pup?
Love link.
All right. Sure. Let me get you guys that link, huh? And we can get to the squad ride craft sesh here in a moment. Drop the link in the chat. Bada bing, bada boom. There it is. Put it in the private chat too for you gents. But it is in the chat if you want to tail that 4-man game script. And look, do not let the Sharp Report plays or squares get swept either, because we obviously like those better. But just wanted to get another Prize Picks lineup out there up and moving. Okay?
I get
no harm in it
today, dude. I mean, good Lord.
Yep. No surge stream today, guys. The majority of the Bookit Squad right now is kind of sick. So still recovering a little bit. No surge stream today. So we'll go ahead and finish up the BTL today. We'll get to the squad ride here in a moment. Gootsy, you got a POD for the peeps you want to let them know about? Or are you down to run it and get to the squad ride here?
I mean, it was Minnesota before I even knew you were on it.
Okay.
Big
Minnesota.
on that.
PODs.
Good. All right. Chad, it's about that time. Why don't we go ahead and get to the squad ride, spend some time on it. Let's get back on track after what I believe was some squad ride cake on Friday. And let's get in the lap. Gootsy, run that shit. I'm trying to see that train. All right, chat. Lock the fuck in. We got to find winners for tonight. And I think after Goots comes in and splooges his PODs, Minnesota, I feel like we probably got to go with the Gophers and put them in this puppy. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Minnesota, I'm seeing 9.5 most places. I locked in 10.5 this AM, but don't want to give you guys a cheesy line. I want to give you guys a good line. And I'm seeing a lot of 9.5s right now. Okay. Start with that. Jovan, I know you got some pitch cake here. I know it starts up kind of soon. Do we want to
start in an hour? Disqualified.
What about your over on the ice? How are you feeling about that?
I'm down for that to go in for sure.
Okay. Anaheim, Montreal, over 6. Okay. What else, chat? Might not be able to find something in this Monday Night Football game that we can both agree upon on the books. Unless there's some sort of 2-piece parlay that's out there up and moving. But I don't know.
No way we're talking about 2-piece lays, crap.
On a day like today, you got to get all your options out there. Okay?
Fuck.
You just got to get all your options out there. All right? Don't shoot the messenger. Okay. I don't think the Bengals lose this game, but do we have a second parlay leg winner? Probably not, unfortunately. I tried to find one earlier today. Couldn't do shit.
Yeah, we can leave that. No other CBB plays?
Take a peep real quick. Not many games. I mean, could go South Carolina State against Charleston Southern, like you were talking about earlier. -2.5. Kind of looks like they win by 2, though.
Dude.
I don't know if I can get there.
No VCU from you?
I can't get there with VCU. That I know I can't do. You get a better chance with South Carolina State. Jovan likes South Carolina. CBB board today is fucking terrible. I know. It sucks. But we could put in that South Carolina State play, fade Charleston Southern, who I know they lost against Davidson in their last game, but they lost by 1. They took them down to the wire. Before that, they beat UT Martin, and they beat Miami, the Hurricanes, a couple days ago. Crazy. You look at what South Carolina State's been doing, Jovan. Sure, they covered their last 2 games against Sanford and Xavier, but they've lost 3 straight games in a row against Marshall, Xavier, and Sanford. So maybe we do play them today. Might be the only choice we have, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we have literally nothing else to fill out the poll.
South Carolina State on the ML, -130. Let's put them in there. You got any ideas for football tonight? Or are we just leaving that off to the side? Maybe focus on prize picks.
Side.
Okay. Chat, let's go 3 plays, 3 winners. You got 3 minutes to vote for your squad ride winner for tonight. It ain't much, but it's honest work. I know the slate sucks, but we're still going to find some winners for you guys. So get involved, please. If you're watching on YouTube, that's great, but make your way over to the Twitch chat so you can lock in your vote in the squad ride poll. Okay, it takes less than a minute. You got a couple minutes left to get your vote in. Get involved. All right, don't just sit there. Change your life. Click the right button, please. Can we get a squad ride W to start out the week right? That would be awesome. All right, 3 plays, 3 winners. Minnesota +9.5 on the hardwoods. We got South Carolina State on the ML on the hardwoods, and the Ducks and Canadians over 6 on the ice. Okay, we got 3 plays. We got 3 winners. All right, W's. South Carolina State, never heard of them. Well, you might tonight. It's looking like the Ducks Canadians over on the ice, out to an early lead in the poll. That ain't no problem. No problem. Minnesota not getting the respect that it probably deserves, but that is fading Indiana at home. So I can't really talk too much shit. If chat doesn't want to get involved in that one, I get it. W Playboy Chris coming in, dropping a follow as well. Kind of soft, not going over recaps. Our graphics guy's sick. We're going to go over those this week.
Yeah,
okay?
This will be done tomorrow. Quit fucking bitching. We do it every week.
Dead Larry Bird, you got any winners for tonight, bro? Please let me know, man. Let me know if you got them. Mini versus Indiana +10.5 parlay with the over 136.5 +165. I don't know if I can lock in that over, but I can certainly lock in Minnesota. Okay. Chat, 3 plays, 3 winners. Get involved. You got South Carolina State on the ML, getting no respect. You got the Ducks and the Canadians on the ice, and that over, leading the squad ride poll, and then Minnesota +9.5 on the hardwoods. You got about a minute left. All right, get involved. Can we get some W Gootsies in the chat as well for running BTL today before he's even made it back? Okay, he's still out there in Arizona, waking up early as fuck so he can produce BTL. Can we get some W's going in the chat? Good to have you back, Gootsy. Good to have you back. Okay. 3 plays, 3 winners. Minnesota, the Ducks, Canadians over, and South Carolina State on the ML. All right, get involved. Get involved. It's going to be the over on the ice. Okay.
Just might be.
Got no problems with it. I got no qualms. Chat, I know the slate's not loaded today. Keep your coins secured. Keep your coins safe. All right, we got some great college football games coming up this weekend. Some great college basketball games this week. Much better NBA and NHL slates coming up this week as well. Do not force today. Keep the points.
NHL slate tomorrow.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're itching for some bets, lock into the slate for tomorrow. It's already the afternoon today. Lock into some winners for tomorrow if you're looking for some action. Okay, no need to force today, but we do have a couple winners for you up here on the boards, and we're going with the over on the ice in the Ducks Canadians game for the squad ride. Sure. W's. All right, gents. WBTL today. All right, T-Bone Steak and Chat, huge from Goots. We appreciate you, Beast. Yes, sir, we do. Dubs, gents. All right, we'll catch you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll be. Appreciate you guys.